Are we going to have a conversation about Liverpool? Or are we not going to have a conversation about how crazy and how insane they are moving in the summer window? I feel like every person which they've been linked to, it goes from a rumor to advance to confirm to an announcement within a matter of couple of weeks compared to what other teams are doing it. They are the most proactive team in the summer window, and in terms of business, in terms of value and what they're doing, they are actually doing better than anyone else. I will talk about each person which they've signed and who they are potentially linked to, and I'll potentially talk about the lineup and how they could potentially line up for the following season. Let's first of all talk about the first person which they've confirmed, and that's of course Jeremy Frimpong. They signed him after Trent left. Trent left and they brought in Jeremy Frimpong. They are similar players in terms of going forward. Trent is of course a better passer. Going forward, Trent, for me, is a much better player than Frimpong, but Frimpong is not that bad. Frimpong is actually better in terms of off the ball, making the runs and behind the defense, and he's very smart, very intelligent in where to be in terms of positioning. Defensively, if Liverpool fans think Trent is a bad defender, Frimpong is even worse. I'll be very interested to see how Frimpong is going to be fitting with Liverpool, because at Leverkusen, he was playing mostly as a wing-back, and most of the time he was playing as a right winger. This guy was barely playing as a right-back, and that's why with Holland, he was barely playing as a right-back. He's known to be a very attacking fullback, so it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do next season, adapting to a new position and adapting to a new system with playing as a right-back, whether he's got the license to go forward, whether he's got the license to drive forward, and if someone can cover for him. I feel like he's a great player, but it'll be very interesting to see what he's going to do in a complete different system. Now, let's talk about Florian Wirtz. Of course, yesterday he was confirmed, and he looks very, very, very good in red. He looks incredible in red. I've seen so much talk about Florian Wirtz. I've been hearing so much about his value, his value, his value, his value. And that's the only thing neutrals, haters, rival fans are basically talking about. No one is talking about the fact that how he is one of the best players in the world. No one is talking about the fact that how Liverpool has grabbed one of the best young talent in the world. They are only labeling his price and his value, and that's it. That's the only narrative which they have. And listen, they are signing for 130 million. Is that a lot? Yes, it is. Is it cheap? Not really. But at the same time, it's very important to bear in mind, in today's market where every single person is overpriced, every single person is going about 100 mil. 130 million for one of the best talents in the world, one of the best players in the world, one of the best performers in the last 12 to 24 months, that's not a bad price, bro. Especially if you're considering in terms of the midfielders that's been going for above 100 million over the past 2 years. Enzo Fernandez over 100 million. Declan Rice over 100 million. Caicedo over 100 million. A lot of players are going above 100 million. In today's market, a good player is worth about 60 million. Back in the day, a world-class player was worth 60 million. The market has changed. Inflation has changed. So if you're looking at Florian Wirtz and you're labeling his price, brother, this guy is only 10 million, 20 million worth more than Enzo, Caicedo, and Declan Rice, players that's been signed into the Premier League over the past 2 years from a Premier League club. So 130 million, if you're deep in it, it's not that much. In terms of talent, in terms of ability, this guy is an X factor. He led the most chances created, most forward passes, most carries, most GS in the Bundesliga over the past 2 years, not named Harry Kane. So please put some respect in terms of the talent and ability he's got. Brother, look what he did 2 years ago when Leverkusen went unbeaten in the league. Look what he did last season. Last season felt like a carry job with Leverkusen having a hit and miss season, but he was the only brighting spark in that midfield and in that team as a whole. And of course, I'm going to be talking about the position which he might potentially play, because at the moment it's unlikely. At the moment, we're looking at 2 potential positions that potentially can play. And thirdly, it's a player which most likely is going to be joining, and that's Kerkez from Bournemouth, who last season was arguably the best left back in the Premier League. One of the best left back in the world. The fact that Liverpool have grabbed him for about 40 million is a crazy price. First of all, he's young. Secondly, he's incredible. Thirdly, going forward defensively, he's a talent. He reminds me very much of Andy Robertson from years ago during his best years. And now they've got a replacement in Andy Robertson. Bro, that back line. If you look at the back line right now, Kerkez, Virgil van Dijk, Konate, and Jeremy Frimpong, that is one of the best defense in the Premier League, hands down. The only question mark of that back back line is Jeremy Frimpong and how his position is going to be. Will it be Jeremy Frimpong? Most likely will be. I highly doubt they've signed Frimpong to be on the bench and have Connor Bradley. Connor Bradley is, of course, a great talent, but they've signed Frimpong to pretty much play. The question mark is, of course, Frimpong defensively. He is a much better attacker. He's been playing as a right wing back, right winger at Leverkusen. So him playing in a different system is going to be interesting. But once he adapts to that system, it's going to be incredible. They've got two players who can easily attack on the flank, on the wing, and they've got two the two best defenders in what we've seen over the last pretty much 2 years, in Virgil van Dijk and Konate. And then in the midfield, you've got Gravenberch and Alexis, two of the best three midfielders in the Premier League last season, and what they've done. So the question mark is, Wirtz is coming in 100%, and he's going to be starting, yeah, and he's providing an X factor, something that Liverpool only had with Mo Salah last season. Now they've got two X factors. They've got Mo Salah and they've got Wirtz. But the question mark about Wirtz is him coming in and where he's going to be fitting in and where he's going to be starting. At the moment, it's between three positions that Wirtz can play, and Wirtz have played with Leverkusen, whether that is behind a striker as a 10, whether that is as a left winger, or whether that is as a false 9 or as a striker. Three positions which is done at Leverkusen over the past 2 years with the Leverkusen system and Xabi Alonso and how he used him and how he utilized him. But I feel like he's going to be playing behind a striker. Then the question mark is Luis Diaz. Is he staying? Is he going to Barcelona? But with Barcelona now signing Nico Williams, most likely Luis Diaz will be staying and he's not moving anywhere. Then it leaves us with one more position, and that is whether a striker or whether a midfielder. Of course, Liverpool, they've got Szoboszlai. He's been there for the past 2 years. His first season with Jurgen Klopp wasn't the greatest, but last season, under Onslaught, he did much better and he performed way better in a different system, a different role. Whether he'll be playing again next season, he will be playing, but whether as a guaranteed starter, I don't know. I feel like Liverpool will use Wirtz as a midfielder, as a 10, and then have a striker up front. The reports has been so many different strikers, whether that is Ikitike, whether that is Sesko, whether that is, of course, Gikurius from Sporting Lisbon, whether that is Jonathan David from Lille, whether that is Dusan Vlahovic, or whether that is the man from Newcastle, Alexander Isak. And if there was one person that all Liverpool fans would want, that is, of course, Isak. But Isak is going to cost them 150 million. Secondly, Newcastle are in the Champions League. Thirdly, are Liverpool about to spend 150 million after they've spent 130 million on Florian Wirtz, after they've spent 40 million on Kerkez, after they've spent 35 million on Frimpong? I don't know. I see it very, very unlikely for Newcastle to sell Isak when they've just made the Champions League. I don't see them offloading Isak. If Newcastle had not made the Champions League, then I would have said 100% Isak is leaving Newcastle to join Liverpool. But because they've made the Champions League, I see it very unlikely for them to sell him and for Liverpool to buy him for 150 million plus. Newcastle's made it very clear, we want 150 million and above. It might not be 150 million, it might be 175 or 200 million, which I see it impossible for Liverpool to spend that money. Which means there is now a couple other options. You can use Darwin Núñez, someone that you've signed for big money 3 years ago, but it's not been working over the past 3 years. You can use Jota, who's of course an option. You can use Cody Gakpo, who's had a very decent season last season. Of course, the Euro campaign was incredible, but he was playing mostly on the left-hand side. Or you can use Luis Diaz as a striker, throwing Wirtz here and having Szoboszlai as a 10. One thing for certain, Liverpool's got so many options for next season, and so far they are not done. I still feel like Liverpool will sign one more person, potentially two, especially with the fact that Quansah have left. By the way, selling Quansah for 40 million is a absolute great sell. 40 million for Quansah, good money. But that means Liverpool needs to sign one more centre-back. And the reports has been coming out saying they might sign Mark Guehi from Newcastle, which potentially could be a cover for either Virgil van Dijk or Konate, or could be a sign of whether Liverpool could play three at the back and having Kerkez and Jeremy Frimpong, who's a much better wing-back, playing him in his natural position. So Liverpool's got so many options for next season, but I like the fact they've done it early, and I like the fact they've invested into the future. Bro, they've just extended the contract, which means they smell blood. They know what they've done last season was incredible, but they're trying to do a back-to-back. They're trying to do better in the Champions League. They got knocked out in the round of 16, something which they weren't happy about. They want to do back-to-back, go further in the Champions League, and try to win one of the competitions. That's why Liverpool, in terms of what they've done so far in the business, bro, better than anyone I've seen. The closest one I've seen is City, and I'm more than happy to talk about City and the transfer of City and how I feel like each person will fit in if you guys want a City edition version. But for Liverpool, I wasn't familiar. I wasn't expecting you guys to do this after what happened last season. I felt like this season might be not a rebuild, but more like onslaught. You did what you did. Now try to take these players and take it to another level. I felt like they would treat Onslaught the same way they treat Jurgen Klopp by not giving him the investment and the money and the backing. But the fact they've given Onslaught 250 million, potentially more if they sign a striker, after they've won the league last season, that just shows Liverpool are going with the mentality and the mindset that they want to win and win and win and not have any sort of break, because they understand City isn't the City from before. Arsenal is yet not there, and I feel like now they understand they can do a back-to-back, something which they weren't thinking when City was going through that dominance era of winning 5 in 6 years. But guys, this has been my first video on my second channel, FayzXtra. On this channel, I'll be giving you guys way more Prem content, very different to what I do on my main channel, where it's strictly La Liga content with Real Madrid and Barcelona. On this channel is going to be way more Premier League, way more Serie A, way more different sort of football, and way more reaction as well. So if you guys enjoyed it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your own thoughts about how good Liverpool has been in this window. Peace.